Hello everyone, Justin Crumley here with the Cujo Productions channel. Welcome to another edition of Cujo Productions Sports Talk. Tonight, the NHL Playoffs start, and I'm going to do something a little special. It's the first time I've ever done this. Not a prediction video, but for the NHL it has. I'm going to go through the entire first round of the both Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. And I'm going to give my predictions on who I think is going to win. Now, please keep in mind, I haven't been able to watch every team that's in the playoffs. But I will base my decisions off what I do know about them and the amount of points. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, we have the Detroit Red Wings and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, you guys, it's no secret, I am a Red Wings fan. I'm a huge Red Wings fan. I live in Detroit. Been a Wings fan for life and always will be. But when you break this series down, this is a rematch from last year. Now, last year, it might have looked a little better than it does this year because, yeah, the Red Wings just kind of hobbled in. And I hate to say that because they are my favorite team, but it's the truth. Now, I will say, 25 straight years into the playoffs is a beautiful thing, but when you come in with no momentum, it's not exactly a good thing, and it doesn't leave me with a lot of optimism. Now, throughout the whole season, the Red Wings have played one or two different ways. One way, some games, and by that I mean, some games they look great. They look like a solid hockey team. They look like potential cup contenders. Yes, I said that. There are some games where they look like a good team. And that brings me to the second thing. There were some games, especially last two, where they just didn't look like they gave a crap. Now, I will say, for the last game of the season against the Rangers, I didn't get to see it. I was working, so I can't say too much. But I know the game before that against Boston, they got destroyed. And as I said, there were games this year where the Red Wings just kind of, they looked like they didn't give a shit. They didn't give a damn. They just, oh, we don't care. We're getting paid. Now, I will say this. This series could be a good one, but on paper, Tampa Bay should probably win this in 5. Now, what's my prediction? I think Tampa Bay is going to win this series. I think they do win in 5 or 6 games. I don't think they're going to sweep the Red Wings, but I just cannot see a scenario where the Red Wings come out on top. It's possible, but I'm going to have to stick with my gut on this one. I think Tampa Bay will win this series in 5 to 6 games. I just think they have a better team, and though they're without Steven Stamkos because he had to get surgery done on his arm for a blood clot. I also heard that Anton Stroman's not playing. I don't know if that's true or not, so let's just assume that he is. I just think Tampa Bay, they had 4 more points than the Red Wings. They had their playoff spot locked up. They might not be the best team in the NHL, but I think when it's all said and done, I think Tampa Bay is going to come out on top. Really sorry, guys. I will be rooting for the Red Wings. If you follow me on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of Red Wing tweets. You have been warned. Next up, we have the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This will probably be a good series, seeing as these two finished 2nd and 3rd in the Metropolitan Division. Pittsburgh had 104 points. The Rangers had 101. To reiterate the last thing, I forgot to mention the points. The Tampa Bay Lightning had 97. The Red Wings had 93. Just want to get that out of the way. Still got Tampa winning in 5 or 6. But let's talk about the Rangers and the Penguins. I don't know a lot about the Rangers. I do know that they beat the Red Wings to end the season. They were already in the playoffs. I think they just needed them. They just needed the 2 points to stay out of the wild card, which is always a good thing. If you're going to get into the playoffs, you'd rather be a division winner. But yeah, I don't really know a lot about the Rangers. They had over 100 points, so that's good. Pittsburgh finished ahead of them with 3 more points, as I just mentioned. And I know this. Pittsburgh has been hot. They have been on fire. And I know they lost their last game of the season against Philly, but before that, they won, 8 straight, right? So, And this is without Evgeny Malkin. Keep that in mind. The Penguins are playing without one of their best players. So, with that said, I'm sorry, King Henrik. I'm going to have to go with Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's going to win this series in 7. I think this is going to go to a 7-game series, but I got Pittsburgh coming out on top. I just think, they've been too hot. They're on fire. Though they lost their last game of the season, the Rangers won their last one. I think Pittsburgh just has a lot more momentum going for them. But anything's possible. My pick, however, I say Pittsburgh in 7. Philadelphia Flyers and the Washington Capitals. Now, before I talk about this, I would like to step to the side and express my condolences to the Flyers. They just recently lost their chairman, Ed Snyder, at the age of 82. He died of cancer. Rest in peace, Ed Snyder. Now, moving on. Philly got in on a wild card. They had 96 points, and Washington had 56 wins this year. They came 6 wins shy of tying the Red Wings' 62-win record. They had 120 points. They're the President's Trophy winners, and a lot of people probably have them winning the Stanley Cup. I will say this. If you do have the Capitals winning the Cup, you're not stupid, because I can't argue with you at that point. And I'm not, and I know it sounds like I'm about to pick Philadelphia. I'm going to pick Washington. I think Washington wins this in 5. I know Philly kind of underperformed. They got in, they scratched in as a wild card team. And it's definitely possible. They could use, the death of Ed Snyder to kind of motivate them. And Wayne Simmons has been playing some good hockey, especially recently. I just think when it comes to this matchup, Washington just has them more than outplayed. I think, when you look at Washington, you got Alex Ovechkin, TJ Oshie, Justin Williams, Braden Holtby played very well this season. I just think Washington, and those 120 points don't lie. Washington is, on paper, the best team in the NHL. I think Washington wins this series in 5. I just think they're way too much for Philly to handle. Can Philly win? Absolutely. Will they make a fight out of it? Yeah, it's going to be a good series. I think they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna use the memory of Ed Snyder to motivate them. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think Washington's just a juggernaut in the NHL right now, and I think they win this in 5. Wrapping up the Eastern Conference matchups, we have the New York Islanders and the Florida Panthers. Now, the Islanders took the second wildcard spot. They had 100 points to end the season. Florida finished first in the Atlantic Division with 103. So just 4 points ahead of Tampa Bay, who is their in-state rival. That's kind of funny. Now, can I just say, Florida, man, what a surprise team. What a surprise team. Now, a year ago, if you had told me the Panthers would have been the Atlantic Division winners and not, the Bruins or the Lightning or the Canadiens, I probably would have laughed, because that would have been an unbelievable thought. But the Panthers, man, they proved all the doubters wrong, and not only are they in the playoffs, they're the second best seed in the whole Eastern Conference. And with that said, I'm going to take Florida in this series. I think Florida is a lot to handle, especially for New York. I didn't really hear too much about the Islanders. I kind of, I heard they were kind of on and off. They ended up finishing with 100, only 1 point behind the Rangers. And Florida, man, like I said, Florida is just way surprising. The Islanders will make a fight out of this, but I think Florida's going to come out on top, and I'm going to say this series goes to 7 games. I think this is another 7-game series, and I think Florida wins. I think Jaromir Jagr is playing on a pretty good level. I didn't really take a look at many of the other people's stats, but I'm just going to go with Florida on this based on the points and based on the fact that Florida is just a surprise team from out of nowhere. And I think this is definitely going to be a good series, good hard-fought series. 7 games, my pick goes to Florida. Moving into the Western Conference, the first matchup I want to talk about is the Chicago Blackhawks and the St. Louis Blues. And this is going to be a pretty good series. St. Louis, man, the playoff curse, looking to break that. Can they do it? I don't think so. Not this time around. I know they're a higher rank than Chicago. St. Louis had 107 points to end the year. Chicago had 103. But St. Louis, man, it just seems like they don't have a lot of luck in the playoffs. And they have some great talent on that team. They got Vladimir Tarasenko, Brian Elliott. I forgot who their captain is. It's like I can't remember his name. I apologize. But Chicago has been here before. They are a very well-seasoned veteran playoff team. Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Marian Hossa, Duncan Keith. I'm not the biggest fan of the Blackhawks, but I do got to give them credit where credit's due. They are a very good veteran playoff team. And honestly, they are a modern-day dynasty. They really are. 3 cups in 5 years. Yeah, I just hope they don't win it this year. I want the Red Wings to be the last team to repeat, just like my Patriots are the last team to repeat in the NFL, but that's none of my business. Anyway, I definitely think Chicago's going to win this. I think St. Louis, they have the talent. The whole mindset is going to be this playoff curse, and I think it's going to distract them. Not to mention, Chicago has potentially the Rookie of the Year. And Panarin, I think his name is. I would love for it to be Dylan Larkin, but it probably won't be. It'll probably be Panarin, if that's how you pronounce his name. I apologize if I'm botching that. Knowing me, I probably am. Hell, I botched Malcolm Brown's name, so. But anyway, I got Chicago going over in this one. I think they're going to win it in 6. St. Louis, they just can't seem to get the job done in the playoffs. I'm not going to make a bold prediction here and say, well, St. Louis has more points. They're clearly going to win. Because it's not always about the points. I know I said that I'm basing a lot of my picks off points, but I also know about St. Louis and the playoff curse. And I think it's going to bite them again. So, there you have it. My prediction for this series, Chicago in 6. Alright, Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars. This is a matchup that I feel like isn't getting a lot of attention. Now I guess I could see why, judging by the point differentials. Minnesota finished the year with just 87 points. Dallas finished with 109. So on paper, this looks like a pretty open and shut matchup. I'd like to think Minnesota is going to give more of a fight than that. Minnesota's been a team that's slowly climbing over the years, trying to get over those playoff woes, and, they're a relatively new team. They didn't start playing until, I think, 2004. I don't know. I don't remember, but I know they're a relatively new team, and they're doing pretty well. But this point differential is just substantial, and Dallas, it's no secret that Dallas is they were just one of the better teams. For a long time, they were the best team in the NHL. I think they had the most points at one time until Washington kind of just woke up and took everything by storm. But honestly, guys, I hate to sound like I'm just going off of points here, but I got the Stars sweeping Minnesota. I think they win this in a sweep, 4-0. There's just way too much talent on Dallas. You got Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn. There's they got that goalie Kari Lehtinen. He's pretty good. Dallas they finished first in the Central with 109 points. They had the best record in the entire Western Conference. I don't see Minnesota winning this one. It really is a David versus Goliath kind of thing. Ironically enough, the D in Dallas doesn't stand for David in this situation, but honestly, guys, I'm sorry, Wild fans. I like the Wild. I kind of hope they win, but I got the Stars winning this one in 4. Nashville Predators and the Anaheim Ducks. This is a matchup that looks a lot better than Minnesota and Dallas. These are two teams that are a little closer in points. Anaheim finished with 103. Nashville finished with 96. So definitely a better matchup on paper. And Nashville ended up finishing 4th in the Central. Anaheim finished 1st. I don't really know a lot about these two teams. I know Anaheim at one point was struggling really bad, especially at the beginning of the year. They were like, I think they were like bottom feeding the Pacific or something. They couldn't get their feet going. Well, they not only did they turn their Jets on and end up in the playoffs, they ended up first place in the Pacific Division by 1 point ahead of the Kings. We'll talk about them in a second. But so as for who I think is going to win, well, when you look at both teams, these are two teams that definitely know how to play some hockey. They have a lot of grit to them, especially the Predators. A few times I've seen them. Guys like Shea Weber, Nashville's in good hands as far as a leader goes. Shea Weber, one of the best defensemen in the game today, and great leader. The Predators have been making the playoffs pretty consistently. Well, they didn't. I don't think they made it a couple years ago, but whatever. They're a good team on paper. The Ducks, man. When you look at the Ducks, they got a roster. They got Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Ryan Kessler, and among many other players. So who do I think is going to win this? Well, honestly, I think Anaheim is going to win the series. It's going to go to 7 games. I'm going to say 7 games. This is going to go to 7 games. I think the Anaheim Ducks are going to end up just barely getting out of this one. I think Nashville is going to put up a good fight. But at the end of the day, I think Anaheim is going to come out on top. Even though Anaheim had 7 more points, doesn't matter. I still think Nashville is going to come in. They're going to give them a fight, but Anaheim at the end of the day is going to come out. I say this one goes to 7 games. The San Jose Sharks and the Los Angeles Kings, a rematch from 2 years ago when the Kings won the Cup, and what an amazing series that was. This is a hell of a rivalry we got on our hands. LA definitely holding the edge because they actually won the Cup that year. Not only did they win the Cup, they came back from 3-0 in the series to beat the Sharks. So, very bad blood between these two teams. And San Jose, they've had some drama over the years. Last year they had that whole thing with Joe Thornton and the GM. They weren't getting along, so he took his C off of his sweater and put an A on it, and then they named Joe Pavelski the captain. And as far as point differential goes, there isn't too big of one. The LA Kings finished with 102, and the Sharks finished with 98. So, the points are pretty close. And on paper, this should be a good matchup. I think we are going to get a classic rivalry matchup, just like we did 2 years ago. However, I don't see San Jose going up 3-0 and beating LA. I think LA is just more stable. They're loaded with talent. Both teams are loaded with talent, but I think LA, they've got Jonathan Quick in the net. They got Milan Lucic, Drew Doughty, Jeff Carter, Matt Green, Dustin Brown. They got a lot of talent on that squad, and I think they're a better playoff team overall. In San Jose, man, they seem to have the same thing as St. Louis. They get in, and it seems like as soon as they're in, they're out. I don't even think they've even made the Stanley Cup Finals before. So this is definitely a team that has a long way to go. Barry Melrose has the Kings winning the Stanley Cup. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I do have Los Angeles winning this series. I think this is going to be done in, 5 games. I think LA wins this in 5. These are two teams that really do not like each other. It's going to be a very, very brutal series to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, I got LA winning this 1 in 5. Alright guys, you've heard my opinion, you've heard my predictions. You probably hate my guts right now, and that's okay. But I want to know your predictions. I want to know, who do you got going to the second round? Who do you got winning? Why? Why do you think they're going to win? Whatever you want to say, let me hear it in the comment section below. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. That's what these sports talk videos are for. I can't talk. Everyone has their own opinion, so I want to hear yours. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I don't say that enough. Check out my Redbubble page, link down below. Follow me on Twitter, link to that is below. And like my Facebook page, link is also in the description. Have a great day, guys. If you're not having a great day, I hope it gets better. Until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is Cujo Productions, signing out.